morning everyone and welcome to CAD Vision Systems Annual Solidworks 3D Experience Day 2022, now brought to you completely virtual and online. I am JJ
and I am LV,
and we will be your hosts for today.
Although we can't be physically with you this round, one thing remains the same: our passion and dedication to bring you an exciting and insightful event filled with important key industrial trends and outlooks in 2022. Of course, we will also be covering the celebration of the launching of Solidworks 2022, along with its on-cloud counterpart, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform.
In the past 2 years, we've learned to never say never and embrace any hardships or turmoil that life has in store for us. And that is why we need to be ever ready in today's technological world, transforming and evolving with it. But before we deep dive into the session and all, we just want to highlight our partners and sponsors this year, namely the Dassault Systems, SolidCam and Lenovo for their continuous support in making this event possible.
Also, do look out for the lineup that we have prepared for you, including some quizzes and the lucky draw session at the end of our event. So, make sure you stay on for that.
Oh, so what do we have this year?
This year, we are giving away an LG Puricare face mask as our grand prize and multiple other attractive prizes too.
As a small token of our gratitude to everyone here today, we also have prepared a small door gift for you, our very own cloth face mask for you to combat the pandemic in this new norm. For those of you who are joining in from our Facebook or our YouTube Live, we recommend heading over to our GoToWebinar and register over there so that you'll be able to interact with us, but also to be eligible for our lucky draw at the end of the day. Alright, let's not take too much time dwelling on the surface, and let's kickstart this year's Solidworks 3D Experience Day. Please join us in welcoming our very own CAD Vision Systems CEO, someone who all of you may be very familiar with, Adrian Kaur, to officiate the event.
Thank you, JJ and LV. Welcome participants from all over Malaysia and Singapore. Every year, we try to outdo ourselves by providing more values to all of you. We have grown year by year with the help of our customer, principal, and our partners. We have just came out of a difficult year, but things are looking brighter and better as industry grow and strive. And we have also grown stronger and building our capacity to help you to transform your businesses for the future, such as digital transformations, workforce transformations, and industrial transformations. We have seen advancements in technology adoptions like never before, and the world has now been accustomed to a new norm, a fact that is equally exciting yet intimidating. As we venture into this unprecedented digital world, we have seen some businesses thrive and grow beyond our imagination. But the question here, can we replicate this success? How do we work smarter, faster, and together accurately in a virtual, digitalized, and distance environment? Today, we are unveiling the future of product development and manufacturing. By exploring new technologies, latest engineering, and digital transformation trends, you will uncover practical and systematic roadmaps for your business transformations and how our solutions fit into each and every inch of your engineering processes, with us being there, guiding you through each step that you take in this journey. We at CAD Vision Systems are proud to reveal to you today our confidence and strength in our technical expertise and industry know-how to be your long-term and beneficial transformation partner. Hope you all are excited for the lineup that we have prepared for you. Thank you and enjoy the show. Pass to you back, LV.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Adrian. We really do value all of our customers who have supported us throughout the years of CAD Vision System, and we can't wait to host you all physically and hopefully in the near future. Up next, we have a message from our principal at the South Systems. Please welcome Mr. Simon Ng, the Territory Sales Director, and Mr. Edwin Coy, the ASEAN South Partner Sales Manager.
Hello Solidworks community, I'm Edwin and I am the ASEAN South Partner Manager. Solidworks 2022 is here. We are supercharging it with all of the Salt System's best technology to help you work smarter, work faster and work together. First of all, let's take a look at the current Solidworks community. It's large and diverse. From millions of Solidworks users to companies, academic institutions, labs, social media fans to various partners. At the higher level, let's take a look at Solidworks 2022. On the surface, deeper dive, and take a look at the deepest capabilities. The high-level theme for Solidworks 2022 are work smarter, doing better with less effort, work faster, doing more with less time, and finally, work together. A deeper dive into Solidworks 2022 reveals a wide and deep variety of enhancements and vast benefits. Solidworks 2022 Deeper Dive. Better user experience with the improved user interface. Hybrid modeling capabilities of using mesh data and parametric models for better part modeling. Enhanced interoperability of DWG for faster to 2D to 3D capabilities. IFC enhancements for building industry-related applications. Faster performance of large assemblies, structure systems, assembly configuration enhancements without the need of Microsoft Excel. Drawing enhancement from opening very large assemblies with large design review mode. Enhancements in all the multi-products from inspection, routing, electrical libraries, multi-user electrical design, PDM, Exalit one-part integration, faster simulation meshing, better flow analysis, enhancements in plastic with expanded database and better performance all around. We are also transforming our ecosystem with our 3DEXPERIENCE Works portfolio, supercharging Solidworks with all of the Salt System's best technology to its deepest capabilities. Integrating Solidworks further with cloud-based sculpting with 3D Creator, 3D Sculptor, 3D Sheet Metal, and many more. Cloud data management by connecting Solidworks with 3DEXPERIENCE platform for revision, lifecycle operations, and collaboration. Simulation without limits with technology from Simulia with its Abacus engine and wide array of simulation capabilities. Next, let's look at how Solidworks integrates, automates, and simulates design to manufacturing process. This is an example of a consumer electronics. A perfect example of integration of mechanical and electronic components. With our full suite of Solidworks portfolio, design processes from mechanical to electrical has been made possible. Design automation is attainable through the utilization of cloud computing. Using simulation, we enable our users to optimize design performance, building stronger parts while keeping it light through latticing. As we move towards the cloud, take advantage of our 3DEXPERIENCE platform to perform complex simulation to replicate real-life scenario. Solidworks helps to bring your ideas to market, providing the flexibility to work in any environment, from desktop, cloud-connected, or pure cloud environment for the following benefits. Design great products faster, assess product performance with confidence, bridge the gap between design and manufacturing, manage product planning, development and release, and move seamlessly from concept to market. Our approach from a process perspective change the engineering design process to work in parallel instead of serial. Our value proposition has always been the same. Make better business decisions earlier, create better deliverables and improve results. The entire 3DEXPERIENCE Works portfolio from desktop, cloud connected or pure cloud environment in the 5 key domains: design engineering, simulation, manufacturing production, marketing sales, and governance. 3DEXPERIENCE Works portfolio that scales with comprehensive and collaborative solution that meets growing business needs. We will leave you with the value proposition of key brands that makes up the entire 3DEXPERIENCE portfolio from Solidworks to DraftSight, DialmiaWorks, and also Simulia. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the day with our partner. Thank you.
So that was a little message from our principals from Dassault Systems, and I hope that gave you a quick overview and a little sneak peek into what we'll be covering today. With Solidworks on Cloud being the focal point in the future to come, I am sure all of you would be intrigued on how we will be tackling this, or even wondering, is it really the right foot forward? Well, here to clarify these doubts is Mr. Wong Kiet Zi, one of our directors at CAT Vision Systems and also a certified Smart Industry Readiness Index, or in short, SIRI assessor. With nearly 30 professional years of experience in system development, global supply chain, electronics manufacturing, and engineering solutions, he will be sharing about keeping up or falling out in this digital age, and the whys and hows of revolutionizing industrial transformation with CAT Vision Systems. Please welcome Kiet.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Kiet. I'm Director of CAT Vision Systems here in Singapore. And today I've been tasked with this topic to address you on this whole subject of joining the I 4.0 revolution with CAT Vision. Okay, so let's get started. First, before we go into the details of I 4.0 adoption and all that, let's just get a quick update, all right, of I 4.0, where we are today. So since the context that we're discussing here is about Industry 4.0, right, I guess we need to do a quick recap of the definition of I 4.0. Now, last year in this same event, I shared mainly on the adoption of an Industry 4.0 using SIRI as a framework, right? I guess just a quick reminder, SIRI stands for Smart Industry Readiness Index, not the Apple Siri. So this is a framework that is now adopted quite globally, especially through the World Economic Forum. And it consists of a few key components, right? One is the business framework, which consists of processes, technology, and organization. It describes what is in a business, the key components in a business, and of course, each of these pillars, like process, will expand into operation, supply chain, product life cycle, and all that. So this is basically the framework that we used to define what I 4.0 is, right? And just now I said, because this is a whole topic and you hear a lot of people talk about I 4.0, and many a times I've come across content, articles, discussions and all that assume, say, IoT is I 4.0, robotics is I 4.0, AR, AI, big data, all those terminologies are loosely grouped as I 4.0 technology. And I want to be clear that I 4.0 is more than that. I mean, those things are just technologies. And so, as you can see, if you can notice my mouse here, right, is that technology is just one portion of the Industry 4.0 framework. Okay, so what I'd like to make sure of is that we are thinking about I 4.0 as a much broader framework. Now, we know that many companies have embarked on their I 4.0 journey in one way or another, right? But let's use SIRI as a general gauge for I 4.0 adoption. So around the world, SIRI, as I said, has been sort of adopted by the World Economic Forum. After its adoption, more than 16 countries, and I guess it's still it's still increasing as we speak. Many countries have actually adopted SIRI as a result of embarking on their own I 4.0 transformation and looking for a comprehensive framework that they can use to sort of map out their journey, map out their transformation strategy. So SIRI has been used quite a lot around the world now. More people globally have been certified to perform the Siri assessment, what we call the official Siri assessment, and to help companies big and small to start, to scale, and to sustain their Industry 4.0 transformation. So that's what Siri was really created to do. And so there are a couple of examples. Now, unfortunately, it's difficult to sort of get an empirical gauge on how many companies in the world have actually adopted Industry 4.0. We know that there are many, and there are various surveys around the world that are actually capturing some of this data, but they are not sort of consolidated in a global manner. So we can't tell for sure. But if I use Siri as a gauge, then you can probably sort of get a sense of it. So here you can see that UAE's, the United Arab Emirates, has also adopted as a country using Siri as a framework, and in fact using Siri to determine their grants, how they're going to allocate grants and investments to companies that are embarking on I 4.0. Same thing goes for the US. The state of Connecticut is also adopting Siri as a standard. Irish Manufacturing Research, the IMR, also announced that they are adopting Siri, and the Philippines Semiconductor and Electronics Industry Associations, together with their Ministry of Trade and Industry and all that, have also adopted Siri. So just purely by country, you can see that quite a lot of countries, and therefore the industries within these countries, have actually adopted I 4.0 and are having some kind of a program to encourage the local industries to take up I 4.0. So we know that this is certainly something that is gaining momentum, that the acceptance and the adoption of Industry 4.0 is definitely global and is very broad in the scope. Now, all of us have experienced a lot of changes in the past 2 years, right, since COVID came along. So how has COVID impacted you in your work? Let's explore that so that we can get a sense of, the degree of adoption as well, as I said, staying on this whole topic on adoption. So here's a chart, a quick survey done by McKinsey. And over the course of this presentation, you'll probably see quite a number of these charts that I will be sharing with you. And I'm taking them primarily from McKinsey so that you can see a consistent picture, because you can only look at you want to make sure that there is consistency in the survey that we are looking at, that the data that we're looking at is actually speaking a consistent language. So just to take a quick look at the maturity of Industry 4.0 among in this particular survey, I believe it is about 400 companies surveyed, right? Companies whose Industry 4.0 implementation is more mature, whose implementation is more mature, will report a stronger ability to respond to crisis. So I'm just looking at this chart here. As you can see, over on the x-axis is the increasing maturity of Industry 4.0 implementation, and on the y-axis is the respondents that are able to respond to crisis in terms of percentages. So as you can see, there's a correlation. The more matured the companies are that are surveyed, the higher their percentage of or their ability to respond, right? So this is looking at 96% of them saying, hey, look, when they are more matured, they are more able to and more ready to respond to something like COVID. And of course, as a result of COVID, the perception of these respondents towards I 4.0's value since the pandemic has certainly increased, as you can see in the chart. So this gives you a very quick flavor of where we are today. Now, if we dive a little bit deeper, we can see here, these are some of the challenges and disruptions that COVID-19 had caused in the last 2 years. And as a result of these problems, right, there have been acceleration of Industry 4.0 adoption, forcing companies to transform faster, whether they like it or not. So I guess these are some of the examples that you can see, right, in terms of material shortages, a drop in the demand. All these things are symptoms that we hear quite regularly. They are all very common among companies, and perhaps you in your own company are facing some of these same challenges. But I would say that some of these things are really the symptoms. They are the surface problems, right? And if I may, I'd like to point you to some of these underlying root causes. Some root causes may be employee engagement and culture, lack of collaboration and cohesion with the organization, right? These are some of the challenges and disruptions that COVID-19 had caused in the last 2 years, right? And as a result of these problems, there have been more significant acceleration of Industry 4.0, forcing companies to transform faster, whether they like it or not. So what you see here on the screen here is, very common challenges that people are facing or companies are facing, like material shortages, a drop in the demand, worker shortages, cash flows, and planning issues. And as you can see, actually, obviously the bigger problems are the material shortages and the drop in demand. And bear in mind that these two can happen at the same time to the same company. But I would say that these challenges are mostly symptomatic. They are the surface problems, right? But what are the root causes? So if I may, I'd like to point your attention to some of these few root causes, which I will be addressing, as you can see further down, why it is relevant to our topic today about Industry 4.0 adoption and where we fit in for CAD Vision, right? So if you can see here, lack of collaboration and cohesion within the organization. These are one of the fundamental challenges, right? There's obviously increase in demand and all that, or drop in demand, as you can see at the top. But again, another thing here is employee engagement and culture. So these two factors are the factors that I would like to zoom into later on and present to you, or at least submit to you that these are some of the more fundamental and root problems that can be addressed, and certainly CAD Vision, our tools, our services, our products can certainly play a role in that. Okay, so as I've said earlier, net result is companies had to transform faster, right, as a result of COVID. So what have we learned from COVID, or what has it taught us since we have started on this journey working from home and all that? What has COVID taught us? Other than having to wash our hands regularly and wearing a mask when we go out, right? What other lessons have we learned, especially at work? Well, I can reduce all that we have experienced, whether it is the rush to update my product design, referring to work here, or chasing for material, chasing for equipment, talking to a supplier and your customers all the time, reconfiguring your production line to cater to, say, different product design or changes in your product design because of very rapid changes in market demand, or having to automate your processes due to manpower shortages and trying to balance between getting the right people and having the right equipment. If I can boil all these lessons learned down to one thing, it would be this: agility. And why do I say agility? I guess this is, I suppose everybody understands, what I'm trying to say here. When I say agility, I'm referring to the agility of the company, the business as a whole, to respond to all these changes, particularly brought by the pandemic. Here's a quick, another chart, as I said earlier, that I will be showing, right? Agility has become more strategic than the cost of doing business. That means, right, and this is a survey again done by McKinsey to the same group of respondents globally, right? These are all manufacturing companies, by the way. And so this survey shows that agility to scale, agility to scale the operation up or down in response to market demand changes is now 18.4%, right? And 17.2% of the respondents say that flexibility to customize products to customer needs is important to them. So you can go down the list increase operational productivity and performance to minimize their costs, increasing resilience in manufacturing and supply chain to strengthen the company for future disruptions. So all these things, as you can see, right, relate to agility. Okay, so that's why I boil it down to, if, why you want to implement I 4.0, why is I 4.0 adoption so critical? It boils down to agility, right? Or what is typically known as the agile company. This is based on a study by Architect in Germany on, again, the definition of what is an agile company. So just to put it into perspective, an agile company is a company that can respond to an event quickly and with optimized response. Right? I won't say the best response, but sometimes the quicker you respond, the better, and your response doesn't have to be perfect, right? So just on the y-axis here, you will see it represents the benefits or the value of adoption or adaptation. That means your response. So on the x-axis is the time, right? Now, as you know, typically when something happens, unpredicted, unexpected happens, you need insight, you need to collect some data to understand what had actually happened. Then you do your analysis, you decide on what your countermeasure is going to be, and then you implement your countermeasure. So these are at least 5 steps that you go through. And as you go through them, each of these steps cost time. So that's why you have this, latency time, insight latency, analysis latency, decision latency, and then action latency. So our ability to quickly and accurately respond to market forces is very critical to our long-term success. Notice here, the longer you take, the lower the value of your response, right? Here, remember the y-axis is the value of your response. So a good example is, of course, the quicker you get your PPE, for example, the faster you can respond to the demands in the hospital, in all kinds of healthcare organizations, right? And if the hospitals don't get their PPE fast enough, they can't do their job. So the value of their response is actually very low. So contrast that now with the agile company. Same here, the y-axis and the x-axis, but what we are showing here is that these events, from event to countermeasure rather, the 5 stages, right, can be squeezed into a narrower time band, right, where you have a very short total latency. As a result, you save this amount of time and you increase the value of your response from here to here, right? So this is where agility matters. This is why it is important. In order to attain this agility in our business, we need 4 enablers minimum, right? And of course, so just to go one by one, first thing you need is a clear vision and leadership. Now, we can't address that here. This is more about corporate management, governance, and all that. In addition, you also need your business processes to be more integrated, right? The more integrated they are, the easier you communicate, the faster you see information, the faster you can get things done, right? And this is addressed in most I 4.0 framework, particularly in Siri. It's certainly a very prominent dimension in the Siri framework. Then thirdly, you need convergence of technology. And this is the reason why I said, I 4.0 is not just IoT or IIoT or AR, VR. It's not just about AI, artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, etc. All those are technologies. They give you certain capabilities, but it's the convergence of the technology coming together that actually makes a big difference for you. And then lastly, a very important factor that is quite frequently overlooked, and as I tried to allude to earlier, is inter and intra-company collaboration. Our ability to collaborate is very, very critical, and that implies you have the right culture, and you have the right tools, you have the right processes to enable teams to come together very quickly and to collaborate, to respond to the situation. So you need these 4 things minimum, right, in order to create or realize that agility in your company. We're not going to go into the first 2. So for the purpose of our discussion today, I will just focus on these last 2 factors: convergence of technology and the inter and intra company collaboration. So remember, just now I showed you the graph of the impact of COVID, some of the symptoms that people are experiencing, like shortage of material, a drop in demand and all that. And I mentioned that the root cause, a lot of these these symptoms are a result of the root problems, right? And the root causes, one of them are actually the need to collaborate faster, but most companies can't, right? So that's why I want to address them here. And the other part of it is the technology part. Okay, so let's move on. So stronger inter and intra company collaboration. We'll tackle this one first. Again, let me show you a very quick chart. Same respondents, the 400 companies, manufacturing companies. You will see that collaboration capabilities are now high in priority for all these companies. What kind of collaboration are we talking about? Which technologies are they focusing on the most when implementing Industry 4.0 use cases? I would just highlight these first 2, 51 and 50, right? Percentage points. That these are the 2 most critical. Of course, there are many others like connectivity and supply chain and all that. But the first one, digital technologies enabling remote work for non-frontline workers, cloud-based collaboration, video conferencing, and more. I think we all know this very well. Most of us have been working from home. The ability to work digitally, number 1, very critical. But what I would emphasize here is cloud-based collaboration, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is technologies connecting end-to-end value chain from suppliers to manufacturers, your logistics, and for better customer visibility, planning, and control. So these are also actually collaboration tools, cloud-based capabilities that are now top in priority for companies that are adopting Industry 4.0. All right. There are a few more, like if you can read here, connectivity and data visualization that create transparency in operational performance for manufacturing and for supply chain. Of course, there's robotics and automation. Then there's predictive analytics. There's AR, VR. So there are many more that are, you could think of them as tools, but underlying those tools, right, is the ability to collaborate. All right. So in most in I4.0 framework, as I mentioned, right, they talk about the ability to collaborate. They look at it as one very key dimension. We've all experienced the need for collaboration and teamwork, right? Company that can collaborate better is also able to compete better and faster. So collaborating digitally has accelerated the cost of, and while the cost of collaboration has decreased, we've learned this in the last couple of years, couple of months, I suppose, last 2 years. With Industry 4.0, right, a network of systems and technologies like equipment and applications, hardware and software have been created to enable and facilitate stronger collaboration among teams. So in such a highly networked environment, companies must be able to collaborate effectively and adapt swiftly. So what are the key attributes of successful collaborative teams? I would suggest to you a couple of these. First is technology has enabled greater degree of real-time communication. So the key here is real-time. To be able to collaborate effectively, you do need real-time data. To be able to collaborate effectively, you do need digitalization. A lot of things need to be digitalized, right? Whether it's your 3D model, whether it is your order management, even bill of material, all those things, need to be digitalized for you to be able to share and interpret them in the right way quickly and in real time. And then thirdly is the communities or teams can be formed easily and dynamically, and they can be updated dynamically. So what this is saying is that an effective collaborative team, right, needs to also have the capability to be dynamic, to start or to disband very quickly. Once maybe the project is finished, disband, different members move on to a different project, or you expand the team or you shrink the team very dynamically, right? Fourthly, collaborative teams need to be able to cut through company and department walls. Actually, technically speaking, the definition here is they need to be able to share risks, rewards, and responsibilities, the 3 Rs. And then there is greater decentralization of decision making, primarily at the collaborative team level. You don't have to wait until you percolate or you surface the decisions up to the top, things like that. So the net effect is actually organizations have to come closer together. Sometimes it's 2, 3, 4, 5 different organizations, suppliers, customers, ecosystem partners, trade associations, and all that come together in a collaborative team in order to respond to a particular situation. Okay, so this is what we've established here is the nature and the key attributes of inter and intra-company collaboration. Now, to put this into perspective, again, I say, why is this important, right? This enabler is so critical that it is one of the 16 SIRI dimensions. So how does SIRI actually look at it? So SIRI looks at the maturity from 0 to 5. There are altogether 6 bands, from informally collaborating to just communicating, or cooperating, coordinating, collaborating, and integrated. So these are just names, I know, but there are actual definitions for each of these bands. Ideally, we want to look for a company that is at least at band 4, where you are able to, as I said, collaborate. And there are definitions for what we mean by collaboration. So now that we've established that inter and intra-company collaboration is critical to our success, now what tools do you think teams need in order to collaborate successfully? Right? Think about that for a while. We will get to convergence of technology next.